Hello, hello. Heather Jean here for another edition of Confidence, always with coffee. Um, so, we are talking this week about the vodcast that is Stage Life Confidence. So, this segment, Confidence with Coffee, is all about, kind of the key takeaways of podcasts and and the key things that come up with the podcast guests. Now, normally I have a guest with me and I really try and honor their story and their tips and their offering. And so I try and say not so much on the podcast. Certainly, maybe I say a lot, but not as much as I am inclined to say. So that's what this segment is it's an opportunity for me to kind of pull out a piece and say, let's talk a little bit more about this and let me shed some light on it, either because I've learned about it from my guest or because I have things to add or I really want to emphasize. And so that's really what this segment is all about. I'm just going to have some of my coffee. The first cup of the day is always so good. Okay, so this week and for the last 2 weeks, I was not joined by a guest. I was on my own because I wanted to do a series of 3 parts talking about personal life confidence, which we did 2 weeks ago, work life confidence, which we did last week, and this week is stage life confidence. And whatever your stage is, so that's really clearly outlined in the podcast. If you're on this YouTube channel, which is probably where you're watching from, then jump on over to the Vodcast playlist and you'll be able to see the video version of this week's podcast. If you prefer your audio podcasts, then jump onto any podcast site and search Confidence Through Cabaret and you'll find us there. Please like and subscribe, comment, share your takeaways, share anything that you want to add. That's always fabulous. And any questions that you might have. You can also get in touch with us, of course, on all of the socials. We're on Confidence Through Cabaret on almost all of the socials. So back to this week's episode. And, there's quite a lot of discussion about stage life and about confidence and about feeling good in our body on confidencethroughcabaret.com, which is our member suite. And each month we put up a new masterclass or workshops. And so there are workshops that, are about movement and feeling good in our body. There are workshops about managing stress and for wellness. There's a somatic breathing class. There's all kinds of different things on confidencethroughcabaret.com. So you can go check that out. But in this podcast, Stage Life Confidence this week, I was really kind of talking about feeling good in your body, and I only scratched the surface of that bit. And it's so important that we accept where we are. So accepting where you are financially, accepting where you are in your body, accepting or your habits, accepting where you are in your beliefs in order to move forward. Now, if you're talking about beliefs, then you need to replace those. And with habits, you need to replace those with something more positive that serves you. And again, you can find all that on confidencethroughcabaret.com or even in the Confidence Through Cabaret community, because we're doing a spring clean challenge. And whenever you're watching this, you'll be able to pick the lives up for 5 days from the 4th to the 8th of April. You'll be able to pick those up in the Confidence Through Cabaret community on Facebook. Whenever you find them, you can watch the replays there. So this week's episode, Stage Life Confidence, probably of the 3, my favorite topic. So I love talking about personal life confidence. I do a lot of coaching to help women lift their voices, show up in their body unapologetically, and really share their message that they want to share. And whether that's, personal life, work life, or stage life sharing, then it's equally important for me that you're on a stage so that your target audience can hear you and connect with you. And that's what this week's vodcast is all about. So let's have a look at the clip for now. Be that you want the stage presence for being able to articulate your ideas in the workplace, whether that's presenting to your team or another team, whether that's applying for another job. I mean, that's another stage, right? And nowadays we tend to do a lot of job interviews on Zoom. So having that stage presence is important if you have a job. If you have your own business, it is even more critical that you have that stage presence, that you show up, that you own your space, and that you feel and come across as confident, as someone who knows what they're talking about and is there to offer that to others for their consideration. So, stage life presence is important. And I would say, think about where you show up, where you need to show up in your stage life. And think about where, whether that's online on social media or any of the tools online, or whether that's face to face, or whether that's audio on something like Clubhouse or a podcast. But really think about, again, starting from where you're strong and thinking about, when do you feel good on that stage? What kind of stage do you feel good about? And what's leading to that? What are the beliefs that are supporting that? What are the habits that you have that are supporting that? And how are you feeling in that moment? So sometimes that shifts, and that's the thing about the confidence journey, right? It's ups and downs. And I think the key thing is to be thinking about how you are in that moment, and being supportive of yourself and accepting of yourself in that moment, even if you want to make changes. So, for example, after COVID, we all went back to live stages in cabaret, and a lot of us weren't in the same shape that we were in, or had put on weight, or whatever was happening. Maybe even weren't as healthy and strong as we had been before. And so we could have said, "Oh well, I'm going to wait until I'm not going to show up on a stage until I have all that back where I want it." But showing up and accepting and loving yourself is that support. That's where you're strong, in order to be able to move forward in showing up on your stage, whatever that is. So I coach a lot of women who talk about, like, I can't show up on a live or on social media unless all my makeup is done, and unless I feel like I look ideal. Um, and so that's a belief there, right? That you need to go back and question around, how are people judging you? Maybe it is fear of judgment. Maybe it is just that, the pink lipstick or whatever it is helps you to be able to show up and feel strong and fierce. But really kind of going back to those roots and the things that are serving you, that's where you're strong. Follow those through. And the things that are not serving you, then you might need to make some shifts and replace that with something else. And again, there's a whole masterclass on beliefs and mindset on confidencethroughcabaret.com. So I won't go too far into that right here, but I think the reality is that we are always on stage, whether we know it or not. And if that freaks you out and you're thinking stage or presentations, change the language that you're using. Sharing information, sharing your message, showing up and, doing your best, rather than presenting, which puts you up on this pedestal. And that can send people into all kinds of feelings of fear. And what I want for you is for you to feel excited, for you to feel passionate, for you to be, comfortable with that message, so much so in your own excitement and in your own acceptance of self, that you then are only thinking about connecting with your audience. That is a key thing. And one of the things that, and I didn't talk about this on the podcast, one of the things that I really struggled with, actually, I think I did. One of the things I really struggled with was about, letting go of control and not having everything perfect. And perfectly imperfect has changed my stage presence. I mean, on a literal sense as well. For example, sometimes, I might have a slight neck injury or a shoulder injury from my aerial, and then I'm not able to do some of the moves that I want to do. And it's kind of arrogant to think that your body should do, work at full capacity every single day, all the time, and that it should be at your disposal. It's not really a nurturing thing for your body to be slung around like that. So we look after our injuries if we're on stage. We maybe do a substitution, or do, something a bit modified, in order to protect whatever it is. I still danced. I did quite a lot of very intense kind of thumping work after I'd had my car accident in 2019. And everybody said, "This is crazy." But I wasn't going at full capacity and I wasn't doing all the things that I had done before my accident. I was only doing the things that was a workaround. And it's being able to still show up. And I did it obviously with my physiotherapist and my chiropractor's consent. So, yeah, obviously you have to be very careful with those things and don't take that on yourself. But, I think when we look for, okay, it's not perfect. It's not how I know I can do it. It's not how I want to be able to show up. It's not there yet. That's fine, because perfectly imperfect is a really key part of our confidence. So, what am I feeling good about? What is working for me? There's a huge amount of gratitude in that self acceptance that is very important. So, go and check out the podcast or vodcast, wherever you get your podcast is Confidence Through Cabaret, or it's right over here on the playlist. If you're here on the YouTube channel, please like and subscribe. We are Confidence Through Cabaret on all of the socials, except for Twitter. We are at YBYWYS, and Clubhouse, I'm at Heather YBYWYS. And just before I sign off with those 6 beautiful letters, I just want to say we are starting the Spring Clean Challenge, and we'll go much more into gratitude. We'll also go into kind of finding your grounding and finding like where you're strong, and then growing from there. And that's why we call it a Spring Clean Challenge, because of course things are starting to grow. But planting those seeds is really important, nourishing the soil, getting strong roots, and then growing from there, rather than, kind of being all over the place and the first wind that comes along and blows you off course. So do join us in Confidence Through Cabaret. I probably will put up the challenge here as well on YouTube. So if you're watching that, then you can check out the Spring Clean Challenge here. But I guarantee that you'll be able to find it from the 4th to the 8th. That's 5 days of lives. You'll be able to find that in Confidence Through Cabaret in this Facebook community. So I'm going to sign off with our Twitter handle and my Clubhouse handle, which is YBYWYS. And those 6 little letters stand for it is your body, and it is your world, and it is your stage. And that's what we're all about every week, not just Stage Life Week and podcasts. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you next time. Bye for now.